Before there was internet fraud and phone scams, there were always swindlers. Female swindlers too. Discover the stories of women from the past who not only survived but thrived as con artists and thieves. How did they use their feminine characteristics to swindle in a world where men made the rules? Join me, Lucy Worsley, historian and author, and my all-female team in Lady Swindlers, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, from Wonder Media Network, I'm Jenny Kaplan, and this is Womanica. This month we're talking about go-getters, women who purposefully, or accidentally, acquired life-changing wealth, good fortune, or influence. It's the 18th century. The location is Italy, Pompeii to be exact. On one seemingly normal day, a farmer heads out with the intention of plowing his land. But as he's making his way across the field with the plow, he stumbles upon something hard that's lodged in the ground. What is it, he wonders. Looking more closely, he sees a large marble column peeking out from under the dirt. Little does he know that a whole estate lies beneath the surface. Today we're excavating the life of the woman who once lived in that buried estate. Let's talk about Julia Felix. Not much is known about Julia's birth, including the specific date. But scholars generally agree that she was most likely from a lower class and may have been born into slavery. One inscription even suggests she was born out of wedlock. It's also likely that Julia was originally from Rome and made her way to the city of Pompeii after a powerful earthquake struck the area in 62 CE. Julia was not from an elite family and did not have a high social status, so there were some career paths, like being a priestess or a politician, that she simply could not pursue. Still, she didn't let that stop her from paving her own path forward. She took advantage of the rebuilding happening in the wake of Pompeii's recent earthquake and began establishing a place to live and work. For women to own property in male-dominated ancient Rome, they had to meet a very specific set of parameters. If women had living husbands or fathers, property usually belonged to the men. It seems like Julia was quite independent, and even if she did have a husband, he stayed out of her hair. It was understood that she owned her house and that any business run out of it was hers alone. Julia quickly turned her property into the House of Julia Felix, a villa complete with gardens, baths, and shops. She was known for offering some of the finest amenities available in her neighborhood at the time. The large baths and meandering gardens were a sight to behold. To top it all off, Julia's estate was right next to an amphitheater, which drummed up lots of crowds and a steady stream of customers. Julia offered the patrons of her business many luxuries. Guests could visit a dry sweating room akin to a sauna. They could also alternate dipping in and out of cold and hot water baths. There was even a large open-air swimming pool for customers to get in a few laps if they so desired. To top it all off, there was a tavern with plentiful food and drink options, a shaded garden with a marble border, and an artificial waterfall. Walls were decorated with an expensive blue stone and depicted images of the Nile River. Patrons of Julia's business were most likely well-to-do, wealthy men with high social status. Julia offered the kind of place where people could linger for hours, soaking in the sun or feasting on a hearty meal. We know all of these details about Julia's estate because that farmer accidentally happened upon one of the property's marble columns more than 1,000 years later, in 1755. It had been buried along with the rest of Julia Felix's estate during the fatal eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE. The artifacts found at the site, frescoes on the walls, and drawings of the architecture helped paint a picture of Julia's life and work. Julia was able to successfully operate a business for many years despite the fact that she was a woman from humble beginnings. And while Julia was not the only female property owner in Pompeii, her business is one of the best documented. Many women who lived many lives are absent from the city's written record. Julia's story is all the more important for understanding the contributions of women during the time period. Proof that they could be independent and well-respected. All month, we're talking about go-getters. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz Kaplan, my favorite sister and co-creator. As always, we'll be taking a break for the weekend. Talk to you on Monday.
Before there was internet fraud and phone scams, there were always swindlers. Female swindlers too. Discover the stories of women from the past who not only survived but thrived as con artists and thieves. How did they use their feminine characteristics to swindle in a world where men made the rules? Join me, Lucy Worsley, historian and author, and my all-female team in Lady Swindlers, wherever you get your podcasts.